Yeah, my sources that are on the ground, largely in Poland, to a lesser extent in Ukraine and inside Russia, they tell me 1.8 million dead is a good number for the numbers of Ukrainian soldiers who've been killed. And if you look at that number, you've got to also assume that there are at least as many wounded, probably more. And most of those wounded will never return to duty. In other words, they're so severe that they're permanently invalids. They can't contribute anymore, which explains why they're now scraping the bottom of the barrel, literally, by bringing in 60-year-old, 65-year-old men. It's a catastrophe. Now, why is this the case? Because for the last, I would say, 6 months easily, the Ukrainian military, particularly its army, but the military in general, has been failing badly against the Russians. And they are in a state very similar to the German army as it disintegrated at the end of the Second World War. If you go back to 1944 and 45, most of the heavy casualties that the Germans took came in the last 6 to 9 months of the war. That's when things are falling apart, and you have large numbers of people who are trying to disengage, retire to new positions, or simply fall back to what they hope will be safety. And as that happens, you're seeing all the things that are being broadcast on your screen now fall on them by the thousands. I think last night it was 700 plus drones in Kiev. I don't know how many missiles and rocket artillery, but you're talking about a world in which there is no rest, a world in which there is no hiding, there is no peace, there's no concealment. And so 1.8 million is I think very accurate. Now, some people insist there are more dead than that. That may well be the case, but certainly not less. So you're talking about this large intelligence complex that has a media that's willing to cooperate. So what you hear in the mainstream media, of course, are also lies, because that media is supportive of these policies. So when you look at the Wall Street banks and their owners, the private equity gurus, the oligarchs that have billions, plus the media and Hollywood, obviously, you put those together, and now you have the intelligence apparatus, which is penetrated and full of what we used to call neocons. I don't know what you call them now, globalist maniacs. I have no idea, but they are 100% behind what's happening. And you have a Congress, and I would say on average, they all have a cocktail level of familiarity with reality. So they actually believe whatever they're reading in the mainstream media, and they believe whatever the assessments they're shown from the CIA and others. So the truth is dead. The only place you get the truth is to go to alternate media. Again, as I said before, people like you out there are actually searching for and finding the truth. But most people just repeat whatever the narrative is that comes down through the sources I just named.